The general who wins a battle makes many calculations in his temple ere the battle is fought. The general who loses a battle makes but few. Because you normally have more than enough to think about during a game, waiting until then to calculate your probability of making a target hand would likely be a mistake. We will therefore perform much of that task beforehand. This will include determining when to fold when you flop only a partial target hand. Thus, folding depends on the pot odds you're receiving. Chapter 4 is about milestones. You typically only see partial target hands on the flop. I'll identify only the ones that have a reasonable chance of making a complete target hand by the river. These will be your milestones. This is a list of partial target hands. Our task is to identify only those worth playing. That is, which ones can we reliably turn into premium hands. Let's skip high card and examine one pair. The reason will become apparent. If you flop one pair, you will achieve a full house by the river just 2% of the time. Because this would imply a break-even point of 50, we will ignore this possibility. But what about making trips? Having flopped one pair, you will achieve trips by the river 8% of the time. This implies a break-even point of 12. That is, to generate a pot large enough to pay for all you invest in playing one pair, you will need to have 12 players in the hand whenever you make this bet. Clearly, that will never happen at a 9 or 10 player table. So we can safely eliminate one pair from our list of playable milestones. This explains our previous assumption that high card is also unplayable. What if you flopped two pair? You can expect to achieve a full house by the river 16% of the time. As we saw earlier, this implies a break-even point of 6. This is a bit high, but not uncommon in loose games, so we'll leave two pair on the list of playable milestones. If you flop trips, you will achieve a full house by the river 33% of the time. This implies a break-even point of 3, which is achievable even in tight games, so trips can safely be added to our list of playable milestones. If you flop a 4-card open-ended straight, you'll make a 5-card straight by the river 31% of the time. The closest simple fraction is 1/3, so I'll assume this to be 33% so that we can use the break-even point of 3, and a 4-card open-ended straight can be included in our list of playable milestones. However, if you flop a 4-card gut-shot straight draw, also known as an inside straight draw, you'll make a 5-card straight by the river 16% of the time. Again, this translates to a break-even point of 6, so gut-shot straight draws can go onto the list as playable in loose games. And finally, if you flop a 4-card flush, you'll make a 5-card flush by the river 35% of the time. Again, I'll assume this to be 33% so we can claim a break-even point of 3. Though rare, there will be times when you flop a complete target hand. Clearly, these are also playable, and on such occasions, your biggest questions will be, will my hand hold up to the river? And if so, how can I extract the most money from my opponents? This completes the list of playable milestones. As you can see, they either have break-even points of 3 or 6. Those with break-even points of 3 are called major milestones, and with break-even points of 6, minor milestones. In general, if you flop anything other than a complete target hand or one of these major or minor milestones, you should not pay to see more cards. Following this advice will go a long way towards achieving the goal of minimizing your losses. This table summarizes the types of milestones you can expect to see on the flop. The major milestones are generally playable, while the minor milestones are typically playable only in loose games where 6 players are still in the hand after the flop. The micro milestones all have less than a 10% probability of making a target hand by the river, so they cannot generally be played. However, it should be noted that they can, in theory at least, be played in combination. For example, if you flop a 3 flush and a 3 straight as well as a pair, the combination adds up to a 16% probability, and therefore constitutes a minor milestone. Now let's review what we know about milestones. Based on their abilities to make target hands, milestones can be categorized into 3 types. Major milestones offer approximately a 33% chance of making a target hand with 2 cards to come. These include 4-card open-ended straights, 4-card flushes, and trips. Minor milestones are only half as likely to make one of the target hands by the river, offering only a 16% probability. These include 4-card gutshot straight draws and 2 pair. We only need 3 players in the hand to play major milestones, so we can play them in almost any game, no matter how tight. Minor milestones, however, only receive proper pot odds in loose games, with at least 6 players still in the hand. And micro milestones offer less than a 10% probability of achieving a target hand with 2 cards to come. These include 1 pair, 3-card flushes, and 3-card straights. These are not generally playable because they typically receive such poor pot odds. Only certain whole cards offer a reasonable chance of flopping a major or minor milestone. We'll look at starting hands in Chapter 5.
Hello, this is Tyson Wood. Our goal here at Strategic Hold'em is simple, to help you play smarter poker. You can help us spread the word by sharing our web address with a friend. And you can help us keep the lights on at Strategic Hold'em by making a donation. We plan to continue our research and release more poker tutorials as new results come available. If you have any topic suggestions, please send them to feedback@strategichold'em.com. All your comments are welcome. We'd particularly like to hear about your most successful bluffing tactics. On behalf of the entire team at Strategic Hold'em, good luck and good hunting.